back, 5 of us traveled to Seattle where we were learning about a church there that was doing something really interesting. They were embracing a new model of ministry. And this church had figured out that the early church was not like what we see today in church, where the church is primarily based around proclamation. You know, today, church, we think of it as going there as a place where you sit in rows and you sing hymns and you listen to a speaker for 20 to 30 minutes and then you bow your head for the benediction and you stream out the same way that you came in. Well, this church in Seattle said, you know, the reality is the first church was dinner-based, and so they began to embrace the idea of that concept of dinner church. Well, over the course of several days with them, we got to see this model in action. We got to go participate with them by helping to serve meals and to see this church really take place. The first night, we got to go experience the dinner church in a room just off Seattle's famous Pike Place Market. Second night, it was at an assembly hall in a place in Ballard. Then, later in the week, there were similar services in Bellevue and in Redmond. And while the locations were different, the concept was really the same. What took place there was, one, a particular commitment to serving the least of these. Also, two, what took place went beyond just breaking bread. It was all about building community, building relationships, and then, in the course of those relationships, sharing Christ. There was an expectation that Christ was imminently present there. And then third, it was designed in such a way that the food and the atmosphere and all that took place was built around that notion of a feast, and particularly around the concept of abundance. In fact, one of our colleagues, who shall go nameless, had trouble with the concept of abundance, and he was maybe a little too abundant. And they almost had to start the food production again. But the reality is that was a huge value in what they were trying to do. And finally, with all those concepts in place, the belief was that when that took place, then natural evangelism would result. People would invite others to join them for the meal, either the next night or the next week. The motto of that church there in Seattle, that dinner church, was, "This is the place where opportunity and simplicity meet." And I think they're right. There's an opportunity or a need out there, and there's something simple about gathering around the table for a meal. That's what Jesus' dinner strategy was. We talked about that on Wednesday night, the Ash Wednesday service, that all the time we see Jesus coming or going from a meal. He had a particular strategy for that. Numerous times at those dinners, Jesus invited people into the kingdom of God. And I think there's something for us to learn from here, and perhaps something for us to emulate. And that's why for the next 5 weeks we'll be looking at the meal habits of Jesus, beginning this Sunday by looking at the meal habit of grace. I hope that you'll come join us for that this Sunday.